Welcome, friends, to the Beaver Dam. We are here with troopers on break today to talk about a very interesting topic. We have the Bad Batch era going on right now, and we're not the happiest about it, to say the least. Troopers on break, how you doing today?
I'm doing better today than I was doing yesterday. I'll say that.
Fair. I feel like we all hope for that, but yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, we got a unfortunate message from Meathead in Discord yesterday afternoon, and I'm gonna actually read it off right now. Meathead dropped in the Discord at 2:26 in the afternoon. He said, answering a question from someone within the Discord, he said, "Great question. Yes, typically our intention is to have an event or journey guide character that directly uses a team you are chasing inside an era. However, due to the bandwidth issues, we were unable to complete the event in time for this era and had to cut it. With that being said, the new Bad Batch squad is still a solid squad, and we cannot wait to share with you the rest of the characters who make up the new Bad Batch team." This is after they confirmed in their original eras post, "At the end of each era, we intend to provide a new event or journey guide level unit to pursue using all the units you work to acquire through the era." So me and Beaver talked, and we thought, well, if we can't get our dream era for Bad Batch, why don't we come up with it with ourselves? What do you think of that, Beaver?
Yeah, especially with like how lackluster this drop was. Like, I was hyped at least when they dropped the original community post and they were like, oh yeah, here's Hu Yang and here's Hera, here's the images for them, all kinds of stuff like that. And then we just kind of got a lackluster post being like, oh yeah, here's what the two first characters are going to be. And you know, they dropped the first one and I'm like, wow, they're really not telling us anything about the era. I'm surprised. And then they dropped the kit reveal. Let me pull that up real quick. They dropped this kit reveal. Sorry for the blindness on you guys. And then they're just like, you know, oh yeah, just offhand in the Q&A section, they're like, yeah, the other characters that are coming are, you know, Batcher, Hunter, Mercenary, Wrecker Mercenary, and Crosshair Scarred. And it's like, oh, okay. I didn't need another Bad Batch team. I wanted my current Bad Batch that I already really enjoy to just get like a lifter or two. But like, this is also the most lackluster announcement of characters I've ever seen in my life. And so, yeah, it's rough. So we're gonna go into just a little bit of basically we're gonna give what our era would have looked like, what we wanted to see out of this era, and you know what it would lead up to for us in a perfect world. And like I think a big part of this is the problem of not only just the disappointment in the ending goal being ripped away from us, and B, the fact that we're just getting more Bad Batch and making another team, but like it's just the communication is awful. I get that it's like them coming off their off season, but like this is rough. But getting to our overall thing, we're going to go through, each of us will go through 3 marquee characters, and then we'll go through the legendary that we think it should lead up to. And so the first thing that we wanted to see, so I'll go with number 1, and I think it's everyone's thing that we wanted to see, and we are technically getting it, and that's Crosshair. Now, do I think Crosshair should have been a Bad Batch tag? No, I would have loved to get Crosshair with an Imperial Trooper tag or an Empire tag, and give us a good old, you know, just beautiful Crosshair that we can throw wherever we want, but not with the Bad Batch, because he spent so much time away from him, and honestly, that time away from him is my favorite parts of the Bad Batch show. Like, I absolutely adored those episodes, and I loved how long it took him to come around, and like, you know, it was so good. And like, they have the assets in game. We obviously don't have a Rote currently active. We're in Territory War Week, but they have the model in Rote already. ready. Like they've had this in their back burner for so long of like the original one, and it's not like it's uncommon for us to get characters that are, you know, of older seasons or older things than before. You know, we have the JKCK, and all of the Rex are the original, you know, Jedi Fallen Order characters. So like I don't think a evil bad or an evil Crosshair wouldn't be a bad thing. We could also get one with like an Axis curator kind of thing, depending on if who he goes with, Bad Batch or going with Imperial Troopers or that type of thing. But overall, I don't know. I'm not really excited for Scarred Crosshair. I love Crosshair to death, but like, I don't know. I feel like he really shined in season 1 and season 2, and he wasn't my favorite in season 3. So I would love that. How about you? What's your first one, Troopers?
Yeah, my first marquee is one that I didn't see a lot of people saying, and that is going to be Nala Se. And I think she would have been really interesting to boost up those unused clones, especially Commander Cody and Clone Sergeant. We really don't get a lot of use out of them. Yeah, Commander Cody has a lot of like interesting abilities in his kit, especially with clones and stuff, but he has no team to really put with him. So I think she would have been a great clone lifter to add to that team. And it would have just been so exciting to bring back those characters that we have to relic up for that JMK. And I think it would have been really interesting to see that. And going with another character that I'm going to say next, but Beaver, you can go ahead and give your second marquee.
Yeah, I think Nala Se would have been an excellent addition, kind of, because we have Shaak Ti going for Quadmate nowadays, and so we don't really have her for clones. And like, you know, I don't know, I feel like Nala Se would be an excellent choice. It's something that I feel like would work really well with clones. We've got the, you know, the trainer of the clones, now we need the maker of the clones. And so especially in 3v3 with like some Omicrons, I think we could have a really good split of a couple different factions out of this, out of like the things that we're talking about. Especially because 3v3 is not something everyone enjoys, and we need more splits. A lot of it is just things don't work and people are unhappy because their squads they built don't work. And so the more splits that we can do, where we can have things like the Tuscans, where we can split it into 2 3v3 teams or 1 5v5 team, I think is the best thing to go for.
I was going to touch real quick on your Crosshair thing, just to further your point. One thing that I really liked about him is Disney did something that's rare, and they made a good character bad. They weren't afraid to keep him bad for as long as they did. And I think that was the most interesting part of him. And it took time, and he had to develop. They didn't just rush him back to the good side. So I think it would have been really cool. So if he reached that, if he was that Imperial Trooper kind of thing. So I really liked your point on that as well.
Yeah. Jumping into my next one, this is one that I'm actually a little upset was in season 3 of Bad Batch. Because it kind of felt like Dave being, you know, Dave Filoni is who I'm referring to when I say Dave, not some random dude named Dave. I felt like Dave was just kind of like, I want my character back. Because like they made the book Dark Disciples. It was phenomenal. It's one of my favorite Star Wars books I've read in a long time, and it's new canon. It's one of the first new canon books after Disney took over, and it follows Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress during the Clone Wars and kind of finishes up Asajj Ventress's story in the Clone Wars. Go read it. It's excellent. But the art from season 3 of Bad Batch is the original concept art from the cover of the book that was denied. And so it was really cool of him to use that concept art that the artist originally did. And then they went with a different artist afterwards, which was sad because I really do prefer this model for her. But overall, you know, I would love to see her in the game. The light side Asajj kind of the idea is cool, and it would also be a great, you know, mercenary lifter. We could see the mercenary tag start to be filled out. Instead of just getting another Bad Batch team, we could be lifting other teams, you know, give us, one of those legendary events that feels like Starkiller, where everything feels really good to fit into your count and fill in those holes. And with Asajj, everyone has mercenaries lying around. We don't really have a mercenary lead besides Balin. I think it'd fit great, and I would love to see light side Asajj Ventress in this game. And honestly, any type of Asajj Ventress, like dark side Barriss would be cool, and, you know, bounty hunter Asajj, also cool. But we're getting off topic. Bad Batch season 3, light side Asajj is what I want to see out of this.
Yeah, I think Light Side Saj would have been really interesting. And again, we're not going to be too negative, but it's just the lack of creativity in this era. There's so much potential, especially with Light Side Saj. Maybe even with the slight synergy towards Omega and
Hmm.
something like that. I think that would have been really cool. But leading into my second marquee, a character once again that I saw no one talk about, and that's Emery. And that is the other female clone that was at Mount Tantus. And I think that would have been a very interesting character to lift up the current Omega that we already have. Instead of giving us a new Omega that we have to farm and with a new lead and stuff, I think it would have been really interesting to get Emery to lift up that older Omega, because she's sort of the oddball out of the current Bad Batch team. So it would have been really nice. What I'm picturing right now is maybe for 3v3, you put Emery and then Omega and then maybe another clone, or put Nalase, Emery, Omega, because they all have synergies. They're all tied together within the Bad Batch story. And I think
Yeah.
that could have been really interesting to see them tie those three characters together and boost up Omega, who's a very unused character, and that would get people to relic her up higher. What do you think, Beaver?
Yeah, I honestly think that there's some missed opportunity here, because if you guys, haven't noticed, she doesn't have the Galactic Republic tag, so she can't be used with any other faction besides clone troopers. And so, like, honestly, the old Omega with, Emery as well as like Nala Say, you could make a great 5v5 team out of our remaining clones that we just have lying around. With just those two marquees, all of a sudden you have Nala Say as lead, you have, an Omega, you have Emery, you have Clone Sergeant, you have Cody, and you have an instant team. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's so much that they could have done for the dregs of our accounts, because we always love lifters to the dregs of our accounts. When we can take something that's like rough and push it upwards, please, Jawas, please, in the next year, please give me a Jawa lifter. The dregs of our accounts that we really want to utilize, the characters that we love it when that happens. We loved when Krex came around for the Phoenix. We love this kind of stuff. And so I feel like it's a missed opportunity to do that with this. So 100% those clones is something that I think Emery and Nalase would have been great for. Jumping into my last one, this is the one that I would use to lift up the Bad Batch, and I think it would be one of the greatest meme characters. I think this would be on the level of Jawas. This would be on the level of like farming Jar Jar, on the level of all those meme characters that we absolutely adore going for in the game. Maybe Hondo's not the best farm, but watching Hondo solo a team is the funniest thing in the world. I love that. I want Gonki. I think the fifth lifter for the Bad Batch, the old Bad Batch team, should be Gonki. We can sweep Omega over to this Emery Nalase. Give me Bad Batch with Gonki as the fifth. I would just 100%, I would drop what I'm doing and I would spend the $150 to get the new character. I'm already working on the Bad Batch for my Marauder. I would go for Gonki, dude. I would 100% drop everything for Gonki. So, I don't know. Your thoughts, troopers?
I heard a rumor that Dave Filoni was gonna have a fight in the Bad Batch, Gonki versus Omega. Winner joins the Bad Batch, gets the Bad Batch tag, and apparently Gonki won, but they said they wanted to put Omega instead. But it should have been Gonki. Hashtag justice for Gonki.
Absolutely.
But I could definitely see that. But
So great.
the way you explain. Anyways, going into my last one, not as amazing as Beaver's. Rounding out the marquees, I was gonna say Scorch, and I'm going with the theme of sort of, if you're following along, is sort of like Star Killer, where the marquees were lifting up different factions within the game. And like as Beaver said, we love those one-off characters that boost up a faction that needed some much needed, like how Dash did, like how Mara J did. And for this one, I'm going to do with Scorch. I would really think he would have a clone trooper tag, but he would be the first dark side clone trooper, also with the Empire tag. And I think that could be very interesting. And there's a lot you can do regarding Scorch with the Empire tag, with him having the clone tag. there's so much you can do within that aspect. And I think there's a lot when it comes to the Empire. Maybe a Lord Vader lift, the first clone to be able to go with Lord Vader, maybe could lead to something there, to a full, I don't know, maybe clone team with Lord Vader, like how it should have been. Anyways, we're not going to get into that.
Hopefully,
But,
Era 2, we get, clone troopers, dark side clone troopers for this guy. Please. I'm begging you.
But yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who Scorch is a Republic Commando from the old Republic Commando game. There's a lot of Republic Commandos that came in with throughout the Bad Batch Season 3 as kind of the teachers of, like, the TK units, so the new clone, or stormtroopers coming in to replace the clone troopers. And we saw, Republic Commando, with yellow armor, and everyone's assuming Scorch. I don't know if it was ever confirmed. Do you know if it was ever confirmed?
No, it was never confirmed. No.
Yeah, which, I mean, how often do they actually confirm old canon? Like, yes, Delta Squad exists in the current canon. They showed them in Clone Wars, which I appreciate. Good old Dave for putting that one in and giving us a little hope for the Republic Commandos. Republic Commandos have a book series, and it was honestly one of my favorite book series I ever read. Most of what you see in The Mandalorian for, like, culture of Mandalore, the language based on, in Rebels and everything, it was all based off of these books by a author named Karen Travis. They were some of my favorite Star Wars books, and they were decanonized by the Clone Wars cartoon by George Lucas because he's like, no, I want the Mandalorians to be pacifists. And I was like, why would you ruin that? And so now Karen's sworn off ever writing another Star Wars book, and we lost one of the best Star Wars authors I've ever read. Anyways, back to Scorch. Yeah. Scorch.
Nice roundabout. Yeah.
Yes. Scorch, I mean, I would love Republic Commandos in general, and I'd also love to see clone troopers in, a dark side fashion. I've talked about this multiple times where I'm really, really hoping that we get like a assault on the Jedi Temple raid, and then the hero unit, instead of introducing a new unit, they give a new team to Lord Vader, and they do like dark side clones. And I think it would be an excellent start towards that. And I just think Lord Vader should be with clones.
Yeah, no, wait, he didn't fight alongside Grand Admiral Thrawn and Maul. What? I must have watched the wrong Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Yeah, downloaded the wrong one. I swear they keep their clothes on the whole time in Star Wars, in case you're wondering, Troopers on Break.
Do they? That was my childhood.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like that's a missed opportunity that needs to happen. And I think a lot of people would love to see some dark side clones in the game, regardless of if they're, Delta Squad and we get Republic Commandos, or if we just get some, 501st clones. I don't know, just anything of that nature. The whole idea of you give them a cool look and they're instantly popular. You see it throughout Star Wars. You've got, Boba Fett. No one knew anything about him, instantly became a fan favorite even before the movie came out and he showed up in a random parade. You've got Maul, shows up, looks BA, everyone loves him even though he has one line. Look cool, equal fan favorite. Clone Troopers look freaking cool. Why have we not gotten more?
Yeah, it's because CG likes to write their own lore. Remember Endor speeder bike chase? All I'm saying is Moff Gideon shooting down his own scout troopers, top tier canon content.
Hey, whoa there. I distinctly remember the Ewoks being caked up in episode 6. I don't know about you. Oh, so great.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, so who would these marquees be leading up to? So you came up with this marquee, and you came up with this legendary, and honestly, this was going to be one of the ones that I was thinking about, that I was hoping for this overall era, and I'm surprised we're not getting anything about it, because, like, I don't know. I thought this was a really well portrayed character, and a really well portrayed character doesn't happen super often in the role that he was taking. So who is it?
So the character that I decided to go with, that all these characters would lead up to, like CG promised. I'm sorry, last gen. I'm sorry.
By the end of this video, they're going to be looking like Julius Caesar with how many times we've stabbed him in the back.
We love you, CG. Hey, yeah. All right. Anyways, character we chose was Dr. Hemlock, and I think Dr. Hemlock is just the absolute superb choice for this. It would have brought all the characters that we had, could have tied in Scorch, Nalase, getting that Crosshair with what he did with Crosshair. Story, lore-wise, it would have made sense. I would have loved to see an event where you using Crosshair, me got face him at the end or something like that, where you recreate that final scene. You do a scene with Nalase with some clones. Maybe you're fighting against Dr. Hemlock and Scorch in the event. And I really think he could have an interesting kit to help a faction that has really needed some viability when there's a data up like they're currently, and that's Imperial Troopers. Imperial Troopers have been really slept on, and they've been pushed to the wayside because a lot of things have been shutting down blitz fire damage and especially turn meter gain. We've seen a lot of stuff stop that, and I think Dr. Hemlock would have been a perfect character, perfect legendary to boost that team up. And one mechanic that I would like to state before I hand it over to Beaver is I think an interesting mechanic would have given him a summon ability where he could summon a clone X, and it would have been based off of what you're targeting. So if you're targeting a tank, then you also get a tank. Or if you're targeting an attacker, you get an attacker as well. And you steal stats from the other team, sort of like how you saw in the season finale of the Bad Batch, all those different variants of X's. So I think that could have been very interesting and really helped out a much needed faction within the Imperial. What do you think, Beaver?
Yeah, I mean, even just looking at the benefits of like a Veer's Piet team with Dr. Hemlock that can summon a sixth, that's just another instance of turn meter and turns that you're getting. There's a ton there to help out the Imperial Troopers, and overall we're running out of Imperial Troopers. It's been a problem. Most people are theorizing that this will be fixed by Thrawn coming into the game and kind of shaping up the Imperial Remnant faction a bit more, but right now with we got Captain Enoch, we got DTMG, who both we're looking at what 1, 2, 3 for Enoch, and then DTMG there's only like 1, 2, 3 dedicated like actual Imperial Remnant. Dark Trooper would also count in my opinion for those dedicated Imperial Remnants. The rest are just random Imperials that they decided to take that and add the Remnant tag. We're kind of ending up with just between these, we just don't have enough to go around at all. So we need more Imperial Troopers in general just to make it so I can actually have an Iden team, a Piet team, Enoch team, as well as a DTMG team. Like we just don't have enough to go around. This is not a faction like the Jedi where you can plug and play and use them for different things. They're very specific in their nature and how they work. And so we need more to fill out this stuff. And so I think that Dr. Hemlock would be a good step. And I think Crosshair on top of that, Crosshair, Scorch, I think these are all, possibilities to add to this faction that could lift this faction back out, because a lot of people are they're just sleeping on Imperial Troopers because they're like, oh, they don't work in Kyber 1. And I'm like, I want them to work in Kyber 1. But that being said, still farm your Imperial Troopers. They're still one of the best teams until you get to Kyber 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real quick, would you have liked to have seen Hemlock have some slight synergy with Palpatine too, especially with how close and how Palpatine literally said he was the most important part of the most important project, which was cloning him, which is giving reason for episode 9 basically. So
I feel like it would have to be a bunch of steps to make Emperor Palpatine meta outside of Starkiller. But I do think it would be an interesting idea to give him Sith Eternal Emperor callouts.
Ooh.
Because he's working on the project to create Sith Eternal Emperor, and then we can get a step towards actually having a full team for C.
Yep.
So I think there should be some synergy to some degree to either one of them, but I would like to see some more things. I would like to see some more things for C. C is in a rough spot. Bane came out and it's like, oh yeah, he has a lifter. It's not a lifter. Sith Eternal is the lifter to Bane. And so I would love to see some just you know, just see some love for Sith Eternal. He's my second GL, and I want to be able to use him outside of, hey, look, a Malgus, let's take it out. Or, hey, look, a GL, let's take it out if we have the 10% chance of doing it, and the 7 random characters I need to make this work. So
I would love to have him viable on defense again. I just would love to see him be like, oh shoot, there's a Sith Eternal. What? Okay, I need to actually think and strategize. Do I need to 2-shot this? Opposed to, oh, it's Sith Eternal. There's no Malik. I'm just gonna throw one.
yeah, and then it's like, oh, there is a Malik. Literally any GL killer squad. Like, it's just not great. So yeah, I definitely think we could see some stuff with Dr. Hemlock there. But unfortunately, all of this is for naught, and we are getting 5 characters that are going to be a new Bad Batch squad and no event. So it'll be a good time, I guess. Tell us in the comments. I'm actually really curious. How many of you, especially who are in the later game, how many of you are actually going to go for the new characters, considering their event was canceled? I know a lot of people are making an argument of it's going to be for the raid. But, like, how many of you guys are pushing for this? How many of you are gambling on that raid? Is there anyone out there who actually feels a desire to farm these characters? Because, like, I like Season 3 of the Bad Batch as much as the next guy, but another Bad Batch team was not what I was hoping out of this. I was hoping for something a little new, a little interesting, like these characters we've talked about today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Any final thoughts, troopers?
Yeah, I wish they would have gone the route like how they did with Starkiller, multiple characters boosting up individual factions to lift up characters that we already have relicked up, to help give them a purpose and a home for us to use, not meta breaking. And then last thing is just CG, please work on your communication. That's all I ask. Like the fact that they're 1 to 4 in post for this, that it boggled my mind. But I'm not gonna harp too much on that. I'm gonna wait, see what the Revenge of the Sith era is, and I'm just gonna wait for that.
Yeah, they could pull my heart out of the depths of despair with what they do with episode 3 for the 20-year anniversary. I am hoping beyond hope that they wow me with era 2, because I like anyone our age, anyone that's like under the age of like 35 to like probably, you know, late teenager, episode 3, what they grew up with, what they love. Before that, you're starting to see a lot more sequel fans, which is interesting. I'm starting to see a lot more, you know, younger generation that like sequels because that's what they grew up on. But like, yes, episode but like, yes, episode 3 may not have been the best Star Wars movie, and I remember having problems with it even as a kid. But it is the nostalgia for us. It is, and that like that's a lot of us here spending on this game. So I'm very curious what they do, and I'm excited to see what they do. But please give us some more communication, please. I'm begging you, CG. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Troopers on break. If you want to go check out his channel, the link will be in the description of this video. You can go check out his wonderful channel. If you are watching this video, he's probably live right now because he's insane. But thank you to each and every one of you for giving it.
Thank you so much for having me on, seriously.
Oh yeah, of course, dude. It was great to have you on.